Welcome to an enlightening journey. This educational content offers challenging insights. Approach with an open mind. The link for the study guide can be found in the description. Subscribe to join the exploration. Let's dive in without wasting time.
The Importance of Saying No. Chapter 1. Introduction and Overview. Saying no is truly an art form, a masterpiece that holds immense significance in enhancing and enriching one's life and overall well-being. In this remarkably profound, thought-provoking, and enlightening essay, I shall embark on a comprehensive exploration of the profound implications of saying no. We will deep dive into its absolute necessity, delving into the depths of understanding how it can effortlessly become an indispensable and fundamental component of self-care. Get ready to embark on a transformative journey, guided by a plethora of meticulously researched scholarly articles, expertly interwoven with enlightening insights from a yoga and mindfulness perspective, as we uncover the immense power dwelling within this simple, yet often overlooked word. Undoubtedly, we have all, at some point in our lives, encountered challenges in mustering the courage to utter that small, yet monumental word, no. We often find ourselves uttering a hesitant yes, not out of genuine desire or agreement, but rather driven by a fear of disappointing others, a desire to avoid unnecessary conflict, or simply a deep-rooted inclination to always be agreeable. However, it is of utmost importance to contemplate the numerous instances when our inability to wholeheartedly commit to a task at hand resulted in subpar outcomes. Let us reflect upon those moments when the commitments we reluctantly agreed to collided with other crucial obligations, leaving us feeling overwhelmed, drained, and harboring deep resentment. All these unfavorable consequences stem from a deficiency in asserting our truth and boldly proclaiming that two-letter word which carries within it our authentic desires. Let us clarify that this essay does not address the flagrant overuse and abuse of the word no, which is observed particularly in individuals grappling with low self-esteem and perhaps even depression. It is in these cases, where isolation and inaction may not serve them favorably, that a profound understanding and support are warranted. Rather, this compelling narrative is meticulously penned specifically for those individuals who find themselves entrapped in the labyrinth of chronic overachievement, relentlessly shouldering unmanageable loads, perpetually seeking to please others, and unconsciously neglecting their own needs. It is within this context that the superfluity of yes acts as a formidable hindrance, effectively diverting us from our mindful presence and, regrettably, thwarting our potential to fulfill our dharma or life purpose. As we navigate steadily through the profound intricacies of this subject, we shall uncover a myriad of empowering strategies and invaluable insights that equip us with the confidence to skillfully wield the power of no. By wholeheartedly embracing this art form, we initiate a transformative journey towards reclaiming our lives and nurturing our souls. Prepare yourself, for you are about to embark on a revelatory and awe-inspiring expedition. A journey that guides us towards the profound realization that self-worth, self-care, and authentic empowerment are intrinsically intertwined. Moreover, it emphasizes that the ability to confidently say no serves as a remarkable catalyst, propelling us towards the manifestation of profoundly fulfilling and purpose-driven existence. The critical importance of feeling empowered to confidently say no, saying no and maintaining our integrity is an essential aspect of successfully navigating through the intricacies of life. In her remarkably insightful and thought-provoking essay titled The Significance of Asserting No, Dr. Laura delves deep into the profound impact and tremendous significance of being able to confidently and unwaveringly say no. While the ability to say yes is undoubtedly important, the sheer power encapsulated within the act of saying no carries even greater weight and should not be underestimated. It is of utmost importance that we cultivate the inner strength and resilience needed to firmly decline the myriad of opportunities, commitments, or requests that may in any way detract us from wholeheartedly pursuing what truly matters to us. Only by doing so can we hope to soar towards the realization of our deepest aspirations and the actualization of our most cherished goals. In this fast-paced world, brimming with distractions and relentless invitations, it is critical that we muster the courage to reject those persistent enticements that inevitably hinder us from reaching the dizzying heights of our ambitions. By harnessing the unwavering power of no, we can wholeheartedly forge our own unique and unparalleled path, unshackled from the weighty expectations and insatiable demands of others. Each and every refusal becomes a beautifully deliberate and resolute affirmation of self, serving as a powerful testament to our unflinching dedication to nurturing and safeguarding our dreams and aspirations. Indeed, it is through fully embracing the transformative potential that lies within the simple yet profound word of no that we acquire the unbounded ability to live our lives with unwavering authenticity. By courageously declining that which does not align with our core values, we are empowered to shape and sculpt our own futures, crafting a destiny that is intrinsically aligned with our truest selves. In this process of self-discovery and self-empowerment, we pave the way towards experiencing profound fulfillment and unadulterated happiness. For it is only in living our lives in accordance with our most genuine desires that we unleash the full extent of our personal potential. By internalizing the lessons imparted by Dr. Laura's remarkable essay and consciously integrating the wisdom contained within its pages, we set ourselves on a transformative journey towards the pinnacle of self-actualization. Through the unwavering power of no, we learn to discern between opportunities that genuinely resonate with our being and those that merely serve as distractions along the way. In doing so, we not only liberate ourselves from the chains of external expectations, but also cultivate an impenetrable shield against the inevitable turmoil and chaos that life may throw our way. Ultimately, the choice is ours to make. The choice to confidently and resolutely say no, to stand firmly in our integrity, and to forge a life brimming with purpose and meaning. Let us embrace the boundless potential that the power of no brings forth as we navigate through life, not only as passive spectators, but as active creators of our own destinies. Balancing a well-rounded life through saying no. It is extremely crucial and highly imperative to possess the knowledge and awareness of precisely when to assertively and confidently utter the two-letter word no, and conversely, when to enthusiastically and wholeheartedly declare a resounding yes. In situations where the response leans towards the negative spectrum, the advisor or consultant shall undoubtedly delve further into the matter at hand, thoroughly scrutinize the circumstances, or even endeavor to reach a harmonious middle ground through a process of mutual understanding, collaboration, and compromise. By investing considerable time and energy into meticulously examining and meticulously scrutinizing the array of advantageous outcomes and deleterious consequences that may potentially arise from any given request, one will be profoundly equipped to effectively and compassionately convey their perspectives, thereby facilitating the other party's comprehension and profound understanding of their standing. Furthermore, should the individual espousing the aforementioned viewpoint actively cultivate a genuine and sincere disposition to genuinely comprehend and empathize with the alternate perspective put forth by the counterparty, the prospects of seamlessly forging an amenable and mutually agreeable alternative that accords maximum comfort and satisfaction to both parties involved shall inevitably burgeon and flourish exponentially. In the event that the inevitable and unequivocal decision materializes in the form of an affirmative response, it is of utmost importance that one wholeheartedly and unwaveringly adheres to their initial inclination of negating and declining the request in question. Should they encounter a situation where the other party seemingly exhibits an adverse and unfavorable disposition towards their decision to assert the negative response, engaging in the process of self-affirmation and self-reassurance becomes absolutely essential, as one must steadfastly remind themselves that their resolution and verdict were definitively justified and grounded in legitimate and valid motives, devoid of any external coercive influences or undue pressures stemming from the opposing faction. This quintessential and meticulous strategy towards decision-making conspicuously unveils itself as a straightforward and undemanding modus operandi. oftentimes necessitating the absence of elaborate compilation of enumerated advantages and disadvantages. The intrinsic and inherent simplicity of this approach serves as a testament to its effectiveness and efficiency, exemplifying its applicability, universality, and efficacy across an extensive array of contexts, scenarios, and circumstances that may be encountered within the labyrinthine vicissitudes of life itself. The role of self-care in saying no. Self-care involves intentionally and proactively engaging in activities and strategies to protect and improve one's personal well-being, as advocated by Beauchamp, 2019. When faced with burnout, stress, or anxiety, it is crucial to prioritize self-care by mastering the art of saying no. The World Health Organization, 2019, has officially recognized burnout as a valid concept, although it is not classified as a medical condition. Burnout is characterized by significant exhaustion, detachment from work, and the development of negative or cynical feelings towards one's job, resulting in decreased professional effectiveness. While burnout can affect individuals in various occupations, research suggests that those in human services professions such as medicine, mental health, teaching, or law enforcement are particularly susceptible to its impact. Watson, End. Taking on too many responsibilities is a major contributing factor to burnout, as it can lead to overwhelming feelings and decreased ability to meet obligations. Pott et al., 2017. Consequently, individuals often experience guilt and a sense of failure when they cannot fulfill their tasks and commitments, further exacerbating burnout. Watson, End. By learning to say no assertively and set clear boundaries, individuals can effectively reduce the risk of burnout and prioritize their own well-being through self-care practices. It is crucial to acknowledge the importance of self-care, as burnout has serious implications for mental health and has only recently gained recognition as an occupational phenomenon by the World Health Organization, WHO, 2019. The recognition of burnout as a distinct issue underscores the need for individuals to actively engage in self-care and establish healthy work-life boundaries to ensure long-term well-being and professional effectiveness. Chapter 2. Benefits of saying no. By saying no and asserting their boundaries, individuals are able to prioritize their personal feelings and needs above others. It is a recognition that their emotions hold equal importance, and that taking care of themselves is not an act of selfishness, but an acknowledgement that their well-being matters. This practice also helps prevent the buildup of resentment towards those who constantly expect them to fulfill their desires, which can often lead to a larger predicament than if they had declined from the start. Moreover, assertively declining allows individuals to avoid both self-directed anger and being taken advantage of. When constantly affirming a yes to others, it invites an excessive amount of responsibility that can potentially result in diminished performance, a tarnished reputation, or a lack of appreciation for the person who consistently acquiesces. In any scenario, this continuous pattern of compliance can genuinely erode their sense of self-worth and inhibit personal growth. However, individuals who value their intrinsic importance and believe in their own worth are more likely to decline requests in order to prevent anything that could undermine their reputation or hinder their overall performance. By effectively uttering the word no, individuals also embrace their own limitations and establish their right to avoid becoming overwhelmed. This practice not only liberates valuable time, but also allows them to concentrate on crucial matters and indulge in much-needed relaxation. They understand the significance of setting boundaries and prioritize their mental and emotional well-being. In summary, saying no is not just about refusing someone's request. It is an act of self-care and asserting one's rights. It is a way for individuals to protect themselves from becoming overwhelmed and to ensure that their own needs are met. By saying no when necessary, individuals can maintain a sense of self-worth, preserve their reputation, and focus on what truly matters to them. Prioritizing personal feelings and needs. For many years, I have largely disregarded my own feelings and needs, overlooking the profound impact it had on my overall happiness and fulfillment. Far too often, I found myself uttering yes when my heart screamed no. It became a recurring pattern, concealing my authentic emotions just to preserve harmony in the relationships around me. Unknowingly, I was sacrificing my own well-being for the sake of others. In retrospect, I now grasp the detrimental consequences that arise from this constant self-neglect. It creates a breeding ground for chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. Additionally, it erodes our ability to assert ourselves and advocate for our own needs. Consequently, the weight of our unaddressed desires accumulates, overshadowing our personal growth and contentment. However, I have come to realize that learning to say no is a catalyst for transformative change in these areas. It is a vital stride towards reclaiming our authenticity and finding true fulfillment. By courageously expressing our genuine feelings and refusing to compromise on our needs, we begin to cultivate a profound degree of self-respect and inner strength. These newfound qualities empower us to nurture our overall well-being for the long haul, fostering a positive and harmonious life. Maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Setting healthy boundaries through saying no can foster a healthy work-life balance. Just being able to differentiate when to say yes or no can be most important in keeping the right balance. Worrying about letting people down or feeling guilty for declining opportunities can lead to us taking on too much. This can result in us feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and can lead to an inability to manage work and personal life effectively. Many of us have a hard time turning work off. It helps to have a clear distinction on when you are at work and when you are at home. This can help lessen fatigue and resentment. That way, when you are at work, you can give full concentration, and when you are at home, you can give undivided attention to your family and yourself. Saying no can also free up time for yourself. Taking time for valued activities and active rest increases life satisfaction and decreases health problems. With too many obligations, it's impossible to take time for yourself. No becomes essential when we lose sight of our goals and become derailed by others' agendas. This leads to unfulfilling work that is off track. Learning to say no to extraneous tasks and activities can give space for important yeses. Expanding the provided text to fit the desired length. Setting healthy boundaries through saying no can foster a healthy work-life balance. Just being able to differentiate when to say yes or no can be most important in keeping the right balance and maintaining mental well-being. It is crucial to prioritize self-care and protect your time and energy from draining tasks and obligations. By setting boundaries and asserting yourself, you can create a harmonious environment where you can thrive both professionally and personally. However, it is essential to remember that saying no does not make you selfish or uncooperative. It is a necessary skill that allows you to make wise choices and prioritize your own needs and goals. The ability to say no without feeling guilty or worrying about disappointing others can be liberating. It empowers you to take control of your life and focus on what truly matters to you. Often, the fear of rejection or letting someone down leads us to take on more responsibilities than we can handle. This can result in stress, burnout, and a diminished capacity to manage our workload effectively. Therefore, embracing the power of saying no is vital for maintaining balance and preserving your well-being. Many individuals struggle with finding a balance between work and personal life. The constant demands of the modern world make it challenging to switch off from work and fully engage in personal relationships and self-care activities. However, by establishing clear boundaries and dedicating specific times for work and leisure, you can create a sense of structure and prevent work from infringing on your personal time. This separation allows you to be fully present and devoted to your work when necessary, while also providing the opportunity to recharge and enjoy meaningful moments with loved ones. Saying no not only helps in managing commitments, but also enables you to carve out time for yourself. By declining unnecessary tasks and obligations, you can free up valuable moments to engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Allocating time for hobbies, self-reflection, and self-care is essential for personal growth and overall life satisfaction. It allows you to replenish your energy, reduce stress levels, and prevent burnout. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It is an act of self-preservation and a fundamental aspect of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. In some instances, saying no becomes even more critical when we lose sight of our goals and become sidetracked by others' agendas. It is easy to get caught up in the demands and expectations of others, neglecting our own aspirations and passions. By confidently saying no to extraneous tasks and activities that do not align with our core values and objectives, we create space and opportunity for important yeses. These yeses can lead us down the path of personal fulfillment and professional success, ensuring that our work remains purposeful and aligned with our true ambitions. In summary, setting healthy boundaries through the power of saying no is crucial for achieving and maintaining a fulfilling work-life balance. It allows us to prioritize self-care, protect our time and energy, and engage fully in both our professional and personal lives. Saying no should not be viewed as a negative or selfish act. Instead, it is a means of self-preservation, personal growth, and aligning our actions with our goals and values. By embracing the ability to say no, we create space for positive experiences, personal development, and a life that is truly meaningful to us. Reducing stress and overwhelm. Saying no can greatly reduce stress in your life. When you take on too many things, you are likely to do them all at only a so-so level. This can cause reduced performance at work, and when you have given too much of yourself, you are likely to feel overwhelmed, resentful, angry, and depressed. These are all symptoms of too much stress. By saying no, you can avoid taking on too much, being spread too thin, and the stress that comes with it. When you are not stressed, you are able to perform optimally at tasks you have chosen, and you are generally in a better mood. Reducing stress can also protect your health. Too much stress has been proven to cause various health problems such as heart disease, hypertension, and weakened immune system. By creating boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being, you can prevent these detrimental effects on your health. Saying no allows you to allocate time and energy to self-care, relaxation, and activities that bring you joy. For those of you who get consumed by too many commitments, with saying no, you will be able to take on fewer tasks and commitments and complete them at a higher level. People will respect your honesty and direct approach, and this will also help to alleviate future commitments because people will know where you stand. Furthermore, by focusing on fewer tasks, you can dedicate more attention to each and excel in the areas you choose to prioritize. This will ultimately lead to a greater sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. You must remember, when you are saying no, to do so with grace. Most first reactions to an invitation are based on emotion, and the best strategy is to wait a little and give a response when you have had time to think. This way, you do not have to back out of your yes, and you may find that after thinking, you do want to do the task. It is important to communicate your decision respectfully and explain your reasons, if necessary, to maintain healthy relationships and avoid misunderstandings. A good way to visualize this concept is to imagine a glass container representing all of the tasks, requests, and projects in your life. When this container is full, you will not be able to add anything more to it without causing stress and doing tasks at a suboptimal level. Often, the person giving you the task is thinking about how to benefit themselves, not you. Learning to say no will allow more space for you to focus on what is truly important and aligns with your personal goals and values. It empowers you to prioritize your time, energy, and resources effectively, ensuring that you can give your best to the things that truly matter to you. Remember, saying no is not a selfish act, but rather a necessary step towards creating a more balanced and fulfilling life. Preserving mental and emotional well-being. By saying no, particularly in situations where you are typically apprehensive or uncertain, you are making a powerful choice. It is an act of standing up for yourself and taking ownership of your decisions. This act of assertiveness can have a profound impact on your self-confidence and self-esteem. As you begin to feel better about yourself, saying no becomes easier and more natural. When you say no, You are essentially setting boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being. You start to recognize your own worth and acknowledge the influence that certain people or places have on your life. This newfound awareness allows you to make more intentional choices about how you spend your time and energy. Instead of burdening yourself with half-hearted commitments, you free up valuable space for the things that truly matter to you. By having the courage to say no, you create opportunities for self-reflection and self-discovery. As you carve out more time for yourself, you not only nurture your self-confidence and self-esteem, but also find a greater sense of peace and tranquility. Oftentimes, we find ourselves agreeing to accompany someone or attend social events out of guilt or obligation. However, when you have a better sense of your own identity and understand what truly brings you happiness, you are more discerning in your choices. At this point in your journey, you begin to realize the true value of your time and energy. You become selective in what you say yes to, ensuring that it aligns with your values and supports your overall happiness. No longer bound by others' expectations or the need to please everyone, you prioritize your own well-being and pursue activities and relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment. As you embrace saying no and cultivate a stronger sense of self, you experience a renewed sense of empowerment. Each time you decline something that does not align with your desires or priorities, you reinforce your boundaries and further strengthen your self-confidence. Saying no becomes a way of honoring yourself and asserting your autonomy. In this process, you not only gain a deeper understanding of yourself, but also foster healthier relationships. People who respect your boundaries and truly value your presence in their lives will continue to support you, even when you decline their invitations. By setting clear boundaries and prioritizing your own happiness, you attract positive and authentic connections. Your relationships become more meaningful and fulfilling as they are built on mutual respect and understanding. In summary, saying no can be a transformative act of self-care and self-empowerment. It allows you to prioritize your own well-being, enhance your self-confidence, and create space for the things that truly matter in your life. As you embrace saying no, you gain a clearer sense of your worth and learn to make choices that support your happiness and fulfillment. Remember, saying no is not a selfish act, but rather a way of honoring yourself and living life on your own terms. Enhancing overall quality of life. The following essay presents the contents of The Importance of Saying No. Saying no is a very important action that can have many possible effects. The conceptions of effects that were conferred through the exclamations were mainly negative. However, there are many positive effects behind saying no, as it can provide a sense of individuality, emphasize setting clear boundaries, and deliver an air of integrity. Quality of life is defined by Webster's 9th New Collegiate Dictionary as how favorable or how fulfilling one's life is. And indeed, those who have a difficult time with saying no may find their life unfulfilled and dissatisfying. The ability to set boundaries on one's own terms shows strength in character as well as the importance of priority. By denying actions that will have negative effects in the future based on one's own wants and needs shows that the person is considering the effects from a decision on several levels as well as thinking long-term. This kind of behavior is the type that builds strong character. The ability to feel self-fulfilled in the asking scenario as well as the answer plays a strong role in priority as well as self-identity. Oftentimes people are asked to do all sorts of tasks, but several do not correspond with personal values, ethics, or ideologies. The person who takes the tasks that do not comply with his own judgment, simply to avoid saying no, will end up feeling regretful. This person is compromising himself and will often feel as though he has lost something but is unable to pinpoint it. This results in an internal conflict of identity. By saying no and denying the tasks that are unfavorable, a person can reaffirm his values and maintain peace of mind without a betrayal to his own convictions. This same positive effect can further bolster an individual's sense of identity and confidence. When a person is faced with a yes or no option question, the clearer the better he reasons. By displacement of a yes or no question with hesitation, the inquirer may end up thinking less of the hesitant answer given as well as the person giving it. This is because he worries that the request may have caused discomfort or placed a burden. This level of reduced questioning is fully reached with an outright decline of a question, and it provides the best scenario for both inquirer and responder. Moreover, saying no can also promote honesty and authenticity. It allows individuals to express their true feelings and opinions without fear of judgment or rejection. When someone says no, they are being genuine and transparent, which fosters stronger connections and relationships based on trust. Furthermore, saying no can encourage personal growth and self-care. It enables individuals to prioritize their own well-being and set boundaries to protect their physical, mental, and emotional health. By saying no to tasks or responsibilities that overwhelm or drain them, individuals can allocate their time and energy towards activities that truly fulfill them and contribute to their personal development. Additionally, saying no can inspire others to do the same. When people witness someone confidently saying no and prioritizing their needs, it empowers them to do so as well. It dismantles the notion that constantly saying yes is necessary to be liked or accepted, and instead encourages assertiveness and self-respect. In conclusion, saying no is not only important, but also beneficial to individuals' overall well-being. It cultivates a sense of individuality, establishes clear boundaries, preserves personal values, enhances self-identity and confidence, fosters honesty and authenticity, encourages personal growth and self-care, and inspires others to do the same. Therefore, embracing the power of saying no can lead to a more fulfilling and balanced life. Understanding that saying no is not selfish. One aspect in learning to say no is to distinguish between helpful selfishness and hurtful selfishness. Helpful selfishness takes care of our own needs while not hurting others. For example, try running from a burning building ahead of a disabled person. Helpful selfishness puts your need over a disabled person's need to get out of the building, but it does not trip him to do so. Saying no at the right time can come from a selfish motive that is hurtful to both ourselves and to others. Because of our inability to put others' needs and consequent wants ahead of our own, we say no to something that would be very easy for us to do, an adequate thing to do, but we would also use up time and energy needed to meet our own needs or the needs of others. Failure to differentiate between this kind of selfish saying no and the helpful selfishness of reserving adequate time and energy for ourselves is a common cause of guilt in learning to say no. Another distinction between healthy and hurtful saying no may be category-driven, with individuals saying no to requests for actions that would interfere with their completion of duty or responsibility, or requests for an action that would benefit another in some way, but only at great cost to the individual himself. The individual who is responsible and who truly cares about meeting the needs of others and still needs to learn to say no will feel quite guilty about saying no in these situations, and may actually be hurt emotionally in realization of why the refused request was refused. This individual may question the meaning of selfishness, but needs only to evaluate whether or not there is a current balance between meeting his own needs and the needs of others. Upon examination of these scenarios, it becomes clear that the process of saying no is multifaceted. It is not a simple act, but rather a complex decision that requires thoughtful deliberation. In order to navigate this process effectively, it is important to understand the distinction between helpful selfishness and hurtful selfishness. Helpful selfishness involves prioritizing our own well-being and needs without causing harm to others. It is a delicate balance that requires us to consider the consequences of our actions. For instance, if we find ourselves in a situation where we need to evacuate a burning building, it is understandable that we prioritize our own safety and escape first. This act may seem selfish, but it does not harm others or impede their ability to escape. Therefore, it can be categorized as helpful selfishness. On the other hand, hurtful selfishness occurs when we say no to something that would benefit both ourselves and others, solely due to our inability to prioritize others' needs. This type of selfishness is detrimental as it not only affects our relationships, but also creates feelings of guilt within us. It is crucial to differentiate between this harmful selfishness and the helpful selfishness that involves setting boundaries and preserving our time and energy for ourselves. Furthermore, it is important to recognize that saying no can also be driven by the category of the request. Individuals may refuse requests that interfere with their duties or responsibilities, or ones that demand great sacrifices without substantial benefits. This distinction is particularly challenging for those who genuinely care about meeting the needs of others. In such cases, saying no can evoke feelings of guilt and emotional distress. It is essential for individuals in these circumstances to evaluate whether there exists a proper balance between fulfilling their own needs and addressing the needs of others. In conclusion, learning to say no requires us to understand the nuances between helpful selfishness and hurtful selfishness. It demands a deep comprehension of the impact our decisions have on both ourselves and others. By carefully navigating this process, we can establish healthy boundaries while still caring for the well-being of those around us. Setting boundaries and asserting personal rights. If you are working on a task that someone else is involved in, you need to be able to differentiate between the task that needs to be done and the other person's needs. If your needs become entangled with that of the other person, it is likely that you will lose sight of your needs. It is quite common for those who are trying to change their patterns of interaction to suddenly realize how true this is when they start focusing on it. One trainee with whom I was working told me once, "I've been working on setting limits, and it is amazing how often I suddenly realize I don't really want to be doing this." This is the realization that he is beginning to see where he intends to stop and start in various interactions with others. This is the first step to asserting your rights to say yes or no on what you choose/want to do. The next step is being able to communicate those rights. Developing clear boundaries and protecting your personal rights is an essential component of being centered in your interaction with others. The clients and trainees I have worked with who are most stressed in their interactions with others are those who are not firmly grounded in their own sense of identity. For these individuals, it is often hard to sense where they stop and other people begin. Thus, they have a hard time knowing what they want and don't want because they are not sure of whose desires they are aiming to fulfill. A clear sense of personal identity is key to knowing what your goals are in any given interaction with another person. When you have a strong sense of self, it becomes easier to navigate the complexities of relationships and establish boundaries that align with your values and needs. It allows you to confidently communicate your desires and preferences, while also respecting the boundaries of others. This self-awareness helps to create healthier and more fulfilling interactions, where both parties feel seen and respected. By understanding and asserting your personal rights, you can ensure that your needs are met and that you are not taken advantage of by others. This involves recognizing your own worth and setting limits on how others treat you. It means saying no when necessary and advocating for yourself when it matters. Establishing clear boundaries allows you to protect your emotional and physical well-being, creating a safe space for growth and connection. Knowing your own desires and limits empowers you to make choices that align with your authentic self, rather than being swayed by external pressures or the expectations of others. It is a continuous process of self-discovery and self-assertion, as you learn more about who you are and what you want out of life. As you cultivate a strong sense of personal identity, you will find that your interactions with others become more authentic and meaningful. Your relationships will be based on mutual respect and understanding, as you both honor each other's boundaries and individuality. Embracing your own unique identity allows you to show up fully in your interactions, without compromising your values or sacrificing your own well-being. It is a journey towards self-acceptance and self-love, where you prioritize your own needs while also remaining open to the needs of others. By developing clear boundaries and protecting your personal rights, you create a solid foundation for healthy and fulfilling relationships. When you can ask for what you need and can say no to others without taking on their desires, you feel centered in your interactions with others. Being centered means being in touch with your thoughts, feelings, and sense of identity in the context of the moment. When you are centered, You feel more in balance with yourself. You know what you will choose to do and what you won't choose to do, and you feel comfortable with those choices. Being centered helps you separate out who you are from who other people want you to be. You are more able to maintain your sense of autonomy when you are centered because you are acting based on your own volition and not based on the attempts of others to coerce you. Managing guilt and societal expectations. To learn to say no in an effective way, one must first learn to say it internally before expressing it out loud. Exercises such as 3-step assertiveness training enable effective refusal in a variety of circumstances. One first describes the situation, such as being asked to take on extra work for no pay, which can be truly emotionally draining and burdensome. Then, one must concisely describe their intense and overwhelming feelings about it, including a deep sense of frustration, anger, and being taken advantage of. In the example case, one might say, "I feel taken for granted, undervalued, and like I'm being exploited, and it's truly unfair and disheartening." Finally, a person must express their feelings in response to the situation with an assertive statement that resonates their strength and self-worth. In this case, they would develop an assertive statement which might be, "So I have to say no to this to firmly establish my boundaries and preserve my self-respect and dignity, as I cannot bear the burden of being used any longer, and I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause." The more deeply ingrained reasons for guilt over declining requests and demands on our time come from societal expectations related to what is and what is not acceptable for different people to refuse. Many people consider it okay, and even expected, to ask a doctor for a free exam, a teacher to work on the weekend to help a struggling student, or a close friend to assist in painting their house. Those who consistently fulfill these favors may feel taken for granted and wonder how to avoid being an easy mark in the future. On the other hand, those who don't readily agree to such tasks often grapple with a lingering twinge of guilt, questioning whether they should have done so. To escape this trap, one must learn to set firm limits and tolerate the disappointment of others when necessary. When we are true to our own needs and priorities, we can avoid the guilt of selling out or the resentment that comes with being seen as a martyr. It is crucial to communicate our refusal of a task in a way that respects the request and shows that it was genuinely considered, rather than simply dropping it or giving a knee-jerk refusal. A person might say something like, "I sincerely appreciate that you would think of me for this, but due to my current workload, I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to maintain the quality of my other important commitments if I were to take on this task." By expressing gratitude and explaining the reasoning behind our decision, we can navigate these situations without damaging relationships or compromising our own well-being. Chapter 4. Building Assertiveness Skills. People with a history of trauma often feel little sense of control over their lives and over their futures. This can be powerfully disempowering and can greatly impact their overall well-being. Learning to say no is an important step in creating more safety and control in your life. By asserting your boundaries and standing up for yourself, you can regain a sense of autonomy and take charge of your own destiny. Almost all survivors have experienced feelings of guilt and anxiety when trying to stand up for themselves. It is understandable that these emotions arise, as the effects of trauma can linger long after the incident itself. However, it is important to recognize that you have the right to protect yourself and prioritize your own needs. Self-assertiveness allows you to establish healthy boundaries and communicate your limits effectively. When faced with the obstacles to self-assertiveness, it can be helpful to delve deeper into the reasons behind these challenges. Trauma often leaves individuals with a distorted perception of their worth and capabilities, leading to self-doubt and uncertainty. By examining these obstacles, you can identify the root causes of your hesitations and work towards overcoming them. Remember, you deserve to feel safe, in control, and empowered in your life. Embracing the power of saying no and advocating for yourself can lead to significant personal growth and a greater sense of well-being. You have the strength within you to overcome the effects of trauma and reclaim your voice. Keep pushing forward and know that there is support available to help you along your journey. One barrier to being direct about one's needs and desires is the belief that self-assertion is not allowed. This belief often stems from a dysfunctional family in which the child's needs were ignored or in which open expression of feelings was not allowed. If a child was punished for expressing hurt or anger, she or he may have learned to repress emotions and to feel ashamed about having needs. Trauma survivors often feel daunted by the task of speaking up about a boundary violation. It can seem easier to let it pass in order to avoid a confrontation. Also, without clear communication that an act was indeed a violation, the offender cannot be expected to take responsibility for it. He or she may believe that the survivor consented to the act and may repeat it. Learning to be assertive is a daunting task, but worth the effort. Inner strength and self-esteem are built each time we assert our right to be safe, to be treated with respect, and to express our feelings and opinions. Developing effective communication techniques. What frequently distinguishes assertive individuals from others is the more powerful propensity to influence the orientation of their own lives. Assertive individuals are active-willed. They have confidence in their own capacity to make decisions and to act on them. They own their own lives. Any behavior or statement that is passive in nature is generally a result of using less than perfect communication skills in relation to being assertive. Very often, what is said is not what is meant. A hesitant tone of voice, slumped posture, and poor eye contact all weaken the spoken word. Many passive individuals have developed a whole communication style of unassertive and indirect messages. When they are unhappy with something or feel they are being treated unfairly, instead of taking action or speaking out, they will often drop hints, procrastinate, or take a certain perverse pleasure in saying, "I told you so," when an action they have allowed to happen brings negative consequences. This is usually a result of the individual feeling powerless to speak openly about their feelings and to take action in initiating change. Such skills are lucrative in sidestepping the challenge, but also foster the inner feeling that one is not in control of their own fate. So the principal means by which people learn to be assertive is by developing more direct and honest communication styles. Learning to express needs and desires confidently. Another useful technique to clearly assert your needs is to use refusal statements to accompany your no. By giving a clear and concise reason for your refusal, it reinforces your decision and makes it more difficult for others to persuade you to change your mind. Remember, you always have the right to say no, and you are not obliged to justify your decision to others. This method will help in situations where persistent others try to wear you down to get you to give in to their request. By providing several prepared refusal statements, it will also prevent getting caught off guard and resorting to using excuses which you may later regret as they never really justified your refusal. To express yourself confidently, you will need to use I statements to acknowledge your responsibility for the decision and to take ownership of the situation. For example, saying, "I don't want you to call me during the week," is an effective way to get across to a friend that you don't want them to call you and you won't be expecting any calls. They understand exactly what you want, and you have taken responsibility for the decision of ending the calls. This is much better than saying, "Can you stop calling me?" To which they can easily reply, "Why?" which will put the ball back in your court and leave you feeling pressured to justify your request. To learn to say no confidently, it is incredibly important to express your needs and desires assertively and without hesitation. By effectively communicating your boundaries, preferences, and limitations, you provide others with a crystal clear understanding of who you are as an individual, what you are capable of accomplishing, and what you simply cannot undertake. This transparent expression of your true self significantly diminishes any ambiguity, mixed signals, or misconceptions that might arise, preventing others from making unwarranted assumptions about your abilities or coercing you into participating in activities against your will. Moreover, by consistently articulating your wishes, you cultivate a profound sense of self-assurance and empowerment, which resonates throughout every aspect of your life. This newfound confidence allows you to firmly assert your boundaries and confidently decline requests or invitations that do not align with your personal values or objectives. with a thorough comprehension of what is realistically feasible for you to accept and accomplish. You are equipped with the necessary tools to respond with a resolute no when necessary, unapologetically prioritizing your own well-being and happiness. This resolute clarity enables you to differentiate between realistic commitments and impractical demands, facilitating the ability to make confident decisions and maintain control over your own life trajectory. Practicing assertiveness in various situations. Given that the issue at hand is immensely significant and requires a proactive approach, it becomes paramount to make an earnest endeavor to comprehend the emotions and actions of the individual involved. This endeavor will inherently augment the probability of achieving a gratifying resolution pertaining to the aforementioned matter. It is of utmost importance to etch this illustrative diagram indelibly into the recesses of your memory. At times when you find yourself diligently grasping the intricacies of the other person's perspective, inadvertently overlooking your own predicament, it becomes imperative to gently remind him or her and deftly steer the conversation back towards attaining the fulfillment of your personal requirements. The diagram aptly portrays a scenario wherein both you and the other individual find contentment and harmony, reinforcing the notion of a mutually beneficial outcome. On the other hand, if your self-esteem is an issue, if the issue does affect your rights or the rights or well-being of another person, or if it is a question of whether to grant a request, then assertion is the only style that will enable you to handle the situation with confidence and maintain self-respect. It is often quite challenging to determine the appropriate response in a given situation, whether assertiveness, passivity, or even aggression is warranted. What truly lacks is a method tailored to the specific circumstances. Hence, let us create one. At this point, your comprehension of assertiveness should be quite substantial, and you must recognize the considerable role that assertion plays in cultivating and upholding a positive self-image. Consequently, the initial aspect of our formula is to reflect upon the following question. Does my self-esteem come into play in this situation? If the answer is negative, if the matter solely pertains to a mere preference that holds no bearing on your rights, the well-being of others, or the flourishing of your beloved indoor greens, then, essentially, your approach holds little significance. Whether you choose to act passively, aggressively, or assertively is of little consequence. Assertiveness exclusively enters the scene when there is something truly significant at stake. Chapter 5. Strategies for Saying No. While utilizing the principles of polite and respectful discourse, we possess the ability to firmly decline a request while still upholding a positive impression in the eyes of the individual making the inquiry. The key to successful refusal lies not solely in the words we choose to convey, but in the manner in which we convey them. The approach taken in refusing is equally as vital as the refusal itself. Abruptness, ill temperament, or unreasonableness within our response has the potential to inflict substantial harm. Such harm may manifest as annoyance, disappointment, hurt feelings, or worse, breed anger. Ultimately, the impact of our refusal can jeopardize the strength of our relationship with the person who has been denied. Therefore, it is wise to cultivate the art of refusal, combining unwavering determination with a likable and amicable approach. By seamlessly blending firmness with courtesy, our unwavering stance is sure to command admiration and respect, provided our courtesy is genuinely sincere. In general, yielding a soft answer proves more effective than employing a harsh and uncompromising one. A blunt statement, devoid of tact, may linger as a source of discomfort, possessing the potential to fester into ill will. Conversely, a genuinely considerate and benevolent refusal, when executed skillfully, is often met without resentment. In fact, it frequently elicits sincere admiration and fosters a friendly connection beyond what would have been achieved through reluctant agreement. Moreover, a refusal that is both friendly and tactful not only avoids causing damage, but also has the potential to yield positive benefits by augmenting the level of respect and esteem in which we are regarded. Utilizing polite and respectful language. Saying no using polite and respectful language can be a valuable skill in maintaining healthy relationships with others. When faced with a request, it is important to express gratitude for being asked or informed about the opportunity. This appreciation sets the tone for a respectful conversation. To politely decline a request, consider using a statement that acknowledges the person's inquiry. For instance, you can say, "I'm really glad you asked me," but this approach ensures that the individual does not feel dejected despite the rejection. By expressing your gratitude before delivering the refusal, you help the person recognize that their courage in asking is still appreciated. Another effective method to decline politely is by employing the sandwich technique. Begin by expressing your appreciation for what the person has said or done. Then gently convey your refusal and conclude with another positive statement. This approach emphasizes the value you perceive in the person while delivering the necessary decline. It encourages future communication and demonstrates that despite the refusal, you maintain respect and openness to their ideas or requests. Nevertheless, one should be cautious when resorting to the "let me get back to you" statement. This phrase can sometimes merely buy time without offering a definitive answer, leaving the decision to be forced upon you later. Hence, it is crucial to use this approach only when genuine contemplation is required before committing. If you ultimately decide not to fulfill the request, it is best to inform the person as promptly as possible. By doing so, you display thoughtfulness and consideration for their time and needs. Most individuals tend to be understanding and may even appreciate the fact that you took the time to carefully consider their request. Mastering the art of saying no politely and respectfully takes practice. However, by implementing these strategies, you can navigate such situations while maintaining relationships and ensuring that your boundaries are honored. Offering alternative solutions or compromises. For example, if a colleague approaches you to take over a shift at work, and you know that you are already busy with other commitments, you can politely suggest an alternative colleague who may be able to help. It's important to recognize that your time and energy are valuable, and it's perfectly acceptable to prioritize your own well-being. If this fails and the person still insists that you help them, this only shows an inability for them to accept your refusal. In such cases, it may be necessary to learn a later strategy of saying no without excessive explanations while maintaining professionalism and assertiveness. Remember, setting boundaries is essential for maintaining a healthy work-life balance and ensuring that you can fulfill your responsibilities effectively. By tactfully declining additional tasks when you are already overwhelmed, you not only protect your own mental and emotional well-being, but also create space for others to step up and contribute in a meaningful way. However, in some situations, saying no is the best solution. It can be an indication of setting personal boundaries and taking care of yourself. Sometimes it genuinely is not the right time to take on extra work or added responsibility. Offering an alternative solution or compromising is a great way to lessen the impact of a disappointing no. It shows the other person that you genuinely want to help but are unable to in the way they intended. This can foster effective communication and build stronger relationships based on mutual understanding and respect. Furthermore, saying no allows you to prioritize your own well-being and allocate your time and energy to activities that align with your goals and values. By confidently and assertively declining certain requests, you demonstrate self-confidence and demonstrate that you are in control of your own decisions and destiny. Moreover, saying no helps you avoid burnout and maintain a healthy work-life balance. It gives you the opportunity to recharge and replenish your energy, ensuring that you can continue to perform at your best in both personal and professional domains. Remember, saying no does not make you selfish or unhelpful, but rather enables you to be more focused and effective in your pursuits. So, embrace the power of saying no when necessary, and let it be a guiding principle in navigating life's choices and commitments. When it comes to completing a task for another person, many of us find it difficult to say no, even when it becomes inconvenient. We often fear that declining the request will make us appear unable to help or, worse yet, rude. Unfortunately, This fear can lead to a negative experience for both parties involved, ultimately causing feelings of frustration and stress to arise. Thus, it is vital to navigate these situations with care and open communication to foster positive outcomes. By learning to assert our boundaries and communicate effectively, we can ensure harmonious interactions and preserve our own well-being. Learning to say no without providing excessive explanations. The key to effectively declining a request is to communicate your refusal without providing excessive justification. When you overly justify your response, you open the door for the other person to challenge your decision. If you desire a simple yet concise way to refuse without getting into lengthy explanations, the best approach is to be assertive and courteous, combined with providing a brief and straightforward explanation following your refusal. This involves delivering a positive statement such as, "I appreciate your request, but," followed by a polite yet firm decline. By doing so, you refrain from delivering a direct rejection while still offering a limited explanation for your response. Naturally, it is in human nature to attempt to persuade the other person to change their mind. Therefore, it is crucial for you to stand firm in your decision and avoid being manipulated. Maintain your stance and do not allow yourself to be coerced into something contrary to your desires. In case the other person witnesses your unwavering determination to decline, they are more inclined to let the matter go. A helpful tactic is to steer clear of using the word no explicitly and instead provide a refusal in the form of an assertion. For instance, imagine being offered a cigarette. Responding with "I'm currently endeavoring to quit" or "I don't partake in smoking" are both alternative ways to decline the offer without directly using the word no. These responses are more likely to be well received as the person extending the invitation doesn't feel explicitly rejected. The first statement exhibits a sense of reluctance, while the second offers an apology, both of which evoke sympathy from the person asking but still convey the refusal in a courteous and diplomatic manner. Using nonverbal cues to convey a firm response. Nonverbal communication plays an incredibly important role in the act of saying no, as it helps convey our message even without using words. It is quite common for individuals to give in to requests that they actually do not want to comply with because they feel uncertain about their verbal refusal. Saying no can be quite challenging, especially when it amounts to refusing to support someone or something. However, it becomes much simpler when the request is for participation in an outside event. In such cases, a concise yet effective response like "I'm sorry, I can't do it at the moment, I have too much on my plate" would be sufficient to express our inability. However, it is worth noting that often the person making the request will try to argue against our response. In such situations, it is important to avoid going into a lengthy explanation and instead maintain our stance by repeating a similar statement. This consistent approach showcases our determination not to succumb to persuasion, as saying no the first time should have been an indication enough. If the other person continues to persist, there might be a need to take an even firmer stand. Nonetheless, by successfully employing the first three tactics, it will become much less difficult to do so. There are even instances where it becomes necessary to say no to individuals in higher positions within an organization. In such cases, it is prudent to always keep our immediate supervisor informed about the requests we are turning down. This way, our supervisor can engage in the necessary politicking required to prevent any adverse effects on us or our work due to our refusal. Maintaining open lines of communication with our supervisor can greatly assist in handling such delicate situations. Seeking support and guidance from others. Although developing the confidence and assertiveness required to say no is an important skill, it is equally important to acknowledge that support and guidance is often needed to maintain the strength to decline unwanted requests. Social support can be defined as the resources provided by other persons, or by the fruits of interaction with other persons, that are intended to enhance the recipient's well-being. Cohen, 2004. This can vary from emotional support, validating one's decisions to say no, to the offering of alternative solutions to enable the refusal. Seeking social support may be particularly relevant for those that are innately more sensitive and compassionate, as they may find it particularly difficult to disappoint others. By nature, these individuals are often highly attuned to the emotions of others and are skilled in empathy. However, this may result in them taking on the emotions of the person that they are disappointing, as if they are experiencing the rejection themselves. High empathizers, understandably, do not like to cause emotional pain to others, and thus may find it very difficult to let somebody down. In this case, it may be useful to enlist the empathy of another person, to imagine how they would feel if their friend overcommitted themselves and ended up stressed and overwhelmed. They would likely feel disappointed that their friend did not say no and did not prioritize their own well-being. This illustrates how saying no is not always a selfish act, as it can prevent future letdowns and protects time and energy for the most important tasks and commitments. Additionally, seeking support from friends and loved ones can provide a sense of validation and reassurance when faced with difficult decisions. Their encouragement and understanding can strengthen one's resolve to stand up for themselves and say no when necessary. Moreover, finding alternative solutions can be a helpful strategy when declining unwanted requests. Offering an alternative suggestion or compromise can show that you value the relationship and are willing to find a mutually beneficial solution. This approach can help alleviate tension and foster open communication, preventing potential misunderstandings or hurt feelings. Furthermore, it is crucial to remember that setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care is key to maintaining overall well-being. Saying no does not make someone selfish or uncaring, but rather demonstrates self-respect and a commitment to personal growth. It allows individuals to focus on their own goals and responsibilities without compromising their mental and emotional health. Ultimately, learning to say no and seeking support when needed is a journey that requires self-reflection and practice. By recognizing the importance of one's well-being and respecting personal boundaries, individuals can cultivate a healthier and more balanced approach to managing their commitments and relationships. Chapter 6. Overcoming fear of rejection. Embracing the opportunity for personal growth means using every non-destructive outcome of a situation as a chance to learn more about yourself and others. If you have accepted an invitation or request that you were unable to comply with, a clear rejection in promising to do things differently in the future will prevent history from repeating itself. If the rejecting of an initiation leads to the termination of a relationship, using the available information as a way to make necessary changes in the maintenance of other relationships will improve your ability to prioritize and spend time with others. Making the most of rejection may take some practice, but the benefits are undoubtedly worthwhile. It is through these experiences of rejection that we truly come face to face with our own strengths and weaknesses, forcing us to confront and address them head-on. By embracing rejection as an opportunity for growth, we open ourselves up to valuable insights and lessons that can shape us into better versions of ourselves. The key is to approach rejection with an open mind and a willingness to learn. Instead of viewing it as a personal failure or a reflection of our inadequacies, we should see it as a stepping stone towards self-improvement. Embracing rejection also helps us develop resilience and perseverance in the face of adversity. It teaches us to bounce back from setbacks and keep striving for our goals, no matter how many times we might stumble along the way. Additionally, by embracing rejection, we cultivate a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset allows us to view challenges and failures as opportunities to expand our capabilities and reach new heights. So, the next time you face rejection, remember to embrace it as a valuable learning experience. Use it as a chance to reflect, grow, and become better equipped to navigate the complexities of life. By doing so, you will not only enhance your personal growth, but also unlock a world of possibilities and opportunities that may have otherwise remained hidden. Rejection, when embraced and used constructively, has the power to transform our lives in ways we never imagined possible. It can serve as a catalyst for personal growth, leading us towards greater self-awareness, empathy, and success. So, Let us welcome rejection with open arms and recognize its potential to propel us towards the extraordinary. It is rarer than a blue moon for anyone to eagerly throw themselves into situations where they know rejection is a likely outcome. One must keep in mind that by declining an invitation or a request, they are not thereby sealing their fate to be alone and miserable for the rest of their days. Instead, they are making time and space for people and activities that are meaningful to them. When it is recognized that rejection is not necessarily a personal condemnation, but a necessary outcome of prioritizing what is important, it becomes easier to deal with the rejection that will inevitably come. When developing the ability to confidently say no and set boundaries, it is crucial to understand that a significant portion of the challenge stems from the fear of being rejected. Overcoming this fear requires implementing strategies that parallel the gradual process of mastering the art of saying no. Undeniably, rejection can be an unpleasant experience that no one eagerly seeks. However, it is essential to acknowledge that by adopting specific measures to cushion the impact and enhance our ability to cope with rejection, declining requests, and asserting ourselves will ultimately become considerably smoother and more effortless. Here, we present a collection of practical tips that offer tangible techniques to alleviate the distress associated with rejection and foster our resilience in the face of adversity. Recognizing that rejection is a natural part of life. When an individual comes to a deep understanding that rejection is just one facet among many in life, it becomes significantly easier for them to remove the stigma attached to being told no. By not internalizing the act of rejection as a personal attack, negative emotions are less likely to surface, and they are less inclined to harbor ill thoughts towards the person who declined their request. Once this realization takes hold, it becomes clear that being turned down does not reflect negatively on them as an individual. As a result, there is an increased likelihood that they will approach future situations with assertiveness. This newfound assertiveness stems from the knowledge that their reputation will not be marred by the unavoidable experience of rejection. Furthermore, this assertiveness paves the way for the person to confidently and fearlessly ask for what they desire, ultimately raising the chances of receiving a positive response. Simultaneously, this also contributes to a boost in self-worth and esteem, as successfully obtaining their desires through the act of asking reaffirms their value and capability. Such a transformative mindset shift empowers the individual to navigate through life with a greater sense of self-assuredness and a heightened capacity to overcome obstacles. In conclusion, recognizing rejection as an integral part of the human experience allows individuals to detach themselves from the negative connotations often associated with being told no. This detachment leads to a liberation from negative emotions and detrimental judgments, fostering a mindset that encourages assertiveness and resilience in the face of rejection. Consequently, the individual becomes more inclined to seek what they want, greatly enhancing the likelihood of fulfilling their aspirations and bolstering their sense of self-worth. Embracing the opportunity for personal growth. Expanding our comfort zone enables us to unlock parts of ourselves we never knew existed. This ultimately gives us the incredible opportunity for tremendous personal growth and self-discovery. Every single time we bravely say no, we are fearlessly taking the chance to confront our deepest fear of rejection and take a massive leap forward in the journey of self-discovery. It allows us to truly recognize and identify the things that our hearts truly desire and yearn for, rather than succumbing to the pressures of what others might want for us. By expanding our comfort zone, we liberate ourselves to stay entirely true to our own values and make choices that are wholly based on our own unique needs, rather than constantly catering to the needs of others. We all know that when we choose to do things solely to please others, and it goes against our deeply held beliefs, it often results in a wellspring of resentment that is usually directed towards the person we were trying to please. However, saying no is not only an act of self-love, but also a powerful expression of self-respect. By courageously saying no to others, we are, in essence, saying a resounding yes to ourselves. And when we start to prioritize ourselves, the incredible flow-on effect of this is that our confidence and self-esteem soar to unimaginable heights, because we are finally taking active measures to look after our own needs and honor our own desires. An amplified sense of confidence in decision-making allows us to feel more assured about the choices we make in every aspect of our lives, propelling us towards a fulfilling and purposeful existence. An increased awareness about what we want from life as a result of saying no allows us to set boundaries and be more selective about the people and activities we invite into our lives. This newfound awareness empowers us to prioritize our own desires and needs, enabling us to live a more purposeful and fulfilling existence. By recognizing and embracing what we truly want, we navigate away from unhelpful situations and circumstances that hinder our growth. During this transformative process, we may experience the bittersweet reality of drifting apart from friends whose paths diverge from our own. As we embark on our personal journey of growth and self-discovery, it is natural to outgrow certain friendships. While this can be a challenging aspect of personal development, it ultimately creates space for new and meaningful connections with individuals who share our passions, interests, and values. These new friendships have the potential to enrich our lives on a profound level, as they nourish our souls and contribute positively to our overall well-being. In becoming more selective about how we invest our time and energy, we may find ourselves making tough decisions, such as letting go of extra work projects or community activities that have inadvertently led us into commitment patterns that no longer align with our true desires. Although it may not always be feasible to immediately withdraw from these obligations, the heightened awareness we have gained will prevent us from repeating similar patterns in the future. We begin to live authentically, free from the chains of unwanted commitments, and closer to the life we have always envisioned for ourselves. By embracing the power of saying no, understanding our own aspirations, and setting boundaries, we embark on a transformative journey towards a life filled with purpose, joy, and authenticity. This intentional approach to living empowers us to create a life that reflects our truest selves, enabling us to find true fulfillment and contentment. Reframing rejection as redirection towards better opportunities. Rejection can be a difficult and emotionally challenging experience for anyone to endure. However, it is possible to interpret rejection in an alternative way that can prove to be incredibly useful and transformative. The key is to perceive rejection as a necessary stepping stone towards accomplishing the right or best possible outcome in any given situation. By reframing rejection as a valuable opportunity for growth, learning, and self-improvement, rather than a personal failure, individuals can effectively navigate through the complex emotions associated with rejection. When people face rejection, it is oftentimes due to external factors that are beyond their control, which they did not foresee or simply did not cause themselves. For instance, consider the case of S, who lost his job due to a corporate takeover, a circumstance that was well beyond his influence. In such scenarios, it becomes illogical and detrimental for individuals to view rejection as a reflection of their own shortcomings or failures. Instead, it is more productive to acknowledge that the rejection stemmed from factors outside of their control. In instances where an event or action leads to rejection, it can essentially act as a means of closing the door to that particular option. This closure, in turn, presents an opportunity to reflect and recognize that the rejected action may not have been the best course of action or what was meant to be. Embracing this perspective enables individuals to see rejection as setting the stage for a brighter and more promising future. By perceiving rejection as the universe's way of guiding them towards an alternative, better opportunity, it promotes the effective use of rejection as a way to redirect paths towards something more desirable and fulfilling. A prime example of this can be seen in the career of Steve Jobs, the renowned entrepreneur and co-founder of Apple. Decades after being ousted from his own company, Jobs openly commented that the rejection he experienced was essential in ultimately achieving the remarkable success he did with his subsequent endeavors at Next and Pixar. He understood that his rejection as Apple's CEO was a pivotal moment that redirected him towards a more desirable and beneficial path. By embracing this perspective, Jobs was able to not only bounce back from rejection, but also utilize it as a catalyst for greater achievements. Coming to a positive resolution with rejection may take time, particularly when it involves a painful and undesirable event. However, by viewing rejection as a blessing in disguise, individuals can find closure and actively pursue a path towards a more fulfilling and desirable future. This shift in mindset allows individuals to resiliently handle rejection, navigating through life with a positive outlook and continuous motivation to keep moving forward. Chapter 7. Saying no in different areas of life. In today's fast-paced and ever-evolving business world, where demands constantly loom over individuals, it is not uncommon for many to find themselves entangled in a web of responsibilities, shouldering a burden that surpasses their realistic capacity. The overwhelming overload of work often stems from an innate inability to refuse a request, be it from a superior or a colleague. However, contrary to a widely held belief that taking on extra work will validate one's worth and subsequently accelerate career progression, it is, in fact, more prudent to adopt a different approach. Embracing an unreasonable amount of work ultimately hampers an individual's ability to perform effectively in their role and can inevitably culminate in burnout, swiftly eroding productivity and overall motivation. It is an indisputable truth that the work we engage in tends to expand to fill the time made available for it. Thus, by uttering the simple yet powerful word no to supplementary tasks, we bestow ourselves with an invaluable gift: time. By declining unnecessary work, we liberate precious hours that can be wholeheartedly devoted to completing the most significant and pertinent assignments, ensuring not only performance excellence, but also alleviating the crippling weight of stress that often accompanies an overloaded schedule. In this behemoth of a professional landscape, where effectiveness and efficiency reign supreme, it is vital to hone the skill of discernment, distinguishing between obligations that contribute to meaningful progress and those that yield a mere illusion of productivity. By prudently managing our workload and respectfully declining excessive demands, we cultivate an environment that fosters true effectiveness and diminishes the insidious shadow of overwhelming stress. Let us remember that our worth should not be measured solely by the volume of work we absorb, but rather by the impact we create through quality results and a balanced well-being. In the pursuit of a fulfilling and successful career, it is crucial to nurture a deep understanding that sustainable productivity stems not from an unyielding acceptance of an excessive workload, but from the strategic management of tasks, allowing for genuine engagement and holistic growth. Grant yourself the liberation of saying no when necessary, for in doing so, you embark on a transformative journey towards professional prosperity and personal contentment. While maintaining a healthy work-life balance is essential for your overall well-being and productivity, it is crucial to prioritize your mental and physical health, as constantly saying yes to excessive work demands can lead to stress, burnout, and decreased job satisfaction. Remember to set boundaries, communicate your limitations, and practice self-care to ensure a sustainable and fulfilling professional journey. When faced with the seemingly simple word no, a significant number of individuals often find themselves opting for the path of least resistance and responding with a reluctant yes, primarily due to the lack of assertiveness associated with uttering the word no. This habitual inclination towards acquiescence ultimately takes a toll on one's self-esteem, resulting in a compromising state of mind and a distressing surge in stress levels. The multitude of compromises arising from an incapacity to utter the simple yet powerful two-letter word no serves as a compelling testament to the paramount importance it holds in the realm of refusal. Upon closer examination of the profound implications embedded within the art of saying no and its versatile applications, it becomes abundantly clear that employing this refusal constructively has the capacity to significantly enhance personal contentment, diminish stress levels, and alleviate overwhelming anxiety across a diverse array of life circumstances. Saying no to excessive work demands. It is a common occurrence for the diligent worker to find themselves grappling with an immense amount of pressure within the confines of their workplace. Oftentimes, this pressure stems from requests bestowed upon them by higher-ranking individuals, requests that tend to veer towards the realm of the unrealistic. Such an unwarranted burden can undeniably catapult the employee into a state of being overworked, subsequently paving the way for an array of detrimental health problems. In light of this predicament, it becomes incumbent upon the worker to adeptly discern these unachievable demands and unearth within themselves the unfaltering confidence and unwavering assertiveness to candidly address these issues with their employer or superior. Whilst undertaking such an endeavor may prove arduous, it remains utterly paramount for both parties involved, the employee and the employer, to fathom the notion that overexerting employees will ultimately pave the way for diminished productivity and a plethora of health tribulations, thereby rendering it bereft of any advantages in the long run. In those instances where a request is made, shackling the employee to an exceedingly restrictive deadline, rendering it virtually impossible to produce work of an acceptably high caliber, the onus falls upon the employee to voice their limitations and negotiate a more reasonable time frame. Moreover, the employee must acquire the skill of denying requests to work during personal time off or the dreadful habit of seeping work into the sanctity of their home. In failing to erect boundaries that separate their occupational sphere from the leisurely oasis they yearn for, the line dividing these two realms inevitably blurs, thereby obliterating any semblance of a well-maintained work-life balance. Furthermore, it is crucial for the employee to steer clear of engaging in excessive overtime, as doing so invariably intensifies stress levels and ushers in a parade of health-related issues. Admittedly, if all else fails and genuine resolution proves elusive, it may be incumbent upon the employee to contemplate whether their current occupation aligns with their aspirations. However, it is important to acknowledge that this measure should constitute a last resort, as more often than not, problems of this nature can be successfully navigated through open lines of communication and skillful assertiveness. Saying no to social obligations. One of the biggest reasons people have a hard time saying no is primarily because they don't want to jeopardize or compromise the relationship and bond they have with the person making the request. This widely resonates when the request comes from someone with an influential position, such as a boss, co-worker, trustworthy friend, or even a beloved family member. The last thing they truly desire is to be perceived as uncooperative, unsupportive, or, worst of all, selfish. A significant underlying thread that weaves through all these reasons is that the person is placing what they perceive to be the needs, desires, and priorities of others before their own considerations. However, living in such a manner can be deemed as profoundly unhealthy. In reality, when one consistently says yes to others, they inadvertently find themselves saying no to their own personal needs, wants, and ambitions. To shed light on this matter, let's consider an illustrative example. Imagine being asked by a friend of a friend to lend a helping hand in their upcoming move. Deep down, you might harbor a dislike for the tedious process of moving and find it incredibly inconvenient. Yet, despite your feelings, it becomes difficult to utter the word no when the person has gone through all the trouble of renting a moving truck and rounding up additional helpful hands. As a consequence, you reluctantly accept their request and devote several draining hours assisting them. However, in retrospect, it becomes pivotal to question whose best interests were genuinely being served here. If you had prioritized your own needs over the needs of the other person, you would have found a way to respectfully decline. After all, moving is ultimately their hurdle to tackle, so why not allow them to handle it themselves? If you genuinely wish to support them, there are alternate ways you can be of assistance. By sincerely encouraging the person to carefully evaluate the implications of each request they make, you prompt them to genuinely discern and understand the weight of their inquiries. Consequently, the person will be less inclined to frequently and thoughtlessly ask for your help, knowing that you will only reluctantly agree. In fact, you can still demonstrate your support by actively helping them find individuals who genuinely derive enjoyment from this specific type of work. It is essential to acknowledge that by continuously declining when you genuinely feel the need to do so, rather than saying yes for the sake of avoiding confrontation or discomfort, you contribute to the solution instead of perpetuating the problem. By standing up for your own convictions and asserting yourself when necessary, you create a healthier dynamic and cultivate a sense of mutual respect. This, in turn, discourages others from thoughtlessly and excessively burdening you with their requests, ultimately diminishing the number of constant askers in the future. Saying no to unhealthy relationships. Saying no to unhealthy relationships is an often undervalued and crucial part of asserting one's boundaries and well-being. Many people mistakenly believe that relationships are binary, operating only on an either/or basis. They assume that the only way to leave a relationship is by completely severing all ties with the individual. However, the reality is more nuanced, as there are often various shades of gray in which individuals can remove themselves from unhealthy situations without entirely ending the relationship. The fear of losing the friendship and companionship of the person can be a significant source of anxiety when contemplating saying no. Numerous questions arise, such as, what would they think of me? Would they hate me? Or, will I ever find another friend like them? These uncertainties can torment a person in such situations and lead to tremendous anxiety. These individuals might believe that they are not entitled to walk away from the relationship or that they owe the person something, compelling them to continue despite their discomfort. These deeply ingrained feelings often stem from distorted beliefs about the relationship itself or from a compromised sense of self-worth. When someone finds themselves in an unhealthy relationship, it is crucial to evaluate the dynamic and take action that will ultimately benefit their well-being in the long run. If a person feels coerced or pressured into doing something they do not want to do, it is acceptable and essential to directly refuse. If the person persists in harassing or pressuring the individual, it may become necessary to sever all ties with that person. In cases where the harassment persists, additional measures may need to be taken to block or prevent any further contact. Although it is undoubtedly a difficult and distressing task, it is far better than enduring relentless pressure with no end in sight. Ultimately, taking this step often leads to a tremendous sense of relief and empowerment for the individual. Remember, saying no to unhealthy relationships is an act of self-care and a way to prioritize one's own well-being. Saying no to personal commitments and responsibilities. Personal commitments and responsibilities are the result of promises we make, often to others, based on our consideration of the needs of others, the needs of ourselves, and the choices of how we want to spend our time. Such commitments are often made with the belief that we can achieve more in our lives if we can get more done. Sometimes when we are unable to say no, we find ourselves overcommitted at the expense of our free time or individual interests. These commitments can be difficult to evaluate because the other party is counting on us. And if we recognize that the commitment is not in our best interests, we may realize that it is in the other person's interest to do it based on the belief that it is good for us. An example of this may be a friend who wants counsel on a situation that you may feel is consuming too much of your time, but genuinely believes that it will help you to help them, thus making it more difficult to justify a refusal without appearing selfish. When we have responsibilities, we invariably make decisions on what we can and cannot do. Our responsibilities are often the result of many commitments and are often won or lost on our ability to say no. Failure to say no can lead to time-consuming responsibilities that get forced upon us. An example may be a participation or even leadership role in a community group or a cause or charity that is pitched to us based on the emotive nature of the case and the group's desperate need for participants. While weighing such needs and the effects of our voluntary contribution is a noble cause, often the promise of what we can do and the reality of what we will be pressured to do are two different things. Failure to assess whether the opportunity is right for us and possibly say no can lead to a situation where the organization will depend on us, and our future cost of saying no becomes even greater. Furthermore, it is crucial to recognize that personal commitments and responsibilities have a profound impact on our mental and emotional well-being. When we continuously take on too much, our stress levels can skyrocket, and our ability to effectively manage our obligations can severely decline. The pressures of fulfilling numerous commitments can leave little room for personal growth, self-care, and pursuing our individual passions. Additionally, it is essential to consider the long-term consequences of overcommitment. By habitually saying yes to every request, we may inadvertently establish a pattern of being taken advantage of or becoming the default go-to person for every task or responsibility. This can result in an unbalanced distribution of workload, causing burnout, resentment, and strained relationships. Therefore, self-reflection and self-compassion are vital when navigating our commitments and obligations. It is crucial to evaluate each request or opportunity carefully, considering our own needs, limitations, and priorities. Clearly defining our boundaries, effectively communicating them, and learning to say no when necessary empower us to protect our time, energy, and overall well-being. In conclusion, personal commitments and responsibilities stem from the promises we make, reflecting our consideration of others' needs, our own needs, and the choices we make regarding our time. However, it is crucial to strike a balance, ensuring that we do not become overcommitted at the expense of our own well-being. By evaluating each commitment and effectively asserting our boundaries, we can cultivate a healthier and more fulfilling life, one that allows us to thrive while fulfilling our obligations and pursuing our passions. Saying no to oneself for self-discipline and self-improvement. It is the most important achievement for self-control. The capacity to say no to oneself in order to control and improve behavior is one of the most significant indicators of good character and a determinant of potential success in life. It is also the best test of one's ability to exercise control over one's life. There are many areas in life where this ability is valuable. Simply improving your behavior often involves a lot of situations where resistance is required and the surrounding environment does not encourage restraint. Besides stopping an undesirable behavior, the next greatest step is the attempt to replace the bad behavior with a better one. In this process, we sometimes have to say no to our impulses or habits. A person who is determined to study and has some level of intelligence should always be striving to improve their knowledge. This may involve us in various small self-directed training sessions. Frequently, we know when the sessions start, but there are various distractions along the way, and we find ourselves diverted into other activities. It is on such occasions when the thought enters our head how much easier this is than just focusing on doing the research. We need to say no to ourselves and yes to the research. The same can apply to various other productive activities a person may have a tendency to spend too much time on, such as work or recreational activities that are not as beneficial. At some point, we may need to say no in order to change our lifestyle. As we navigate through life, we encounter numerous instances where self-control is paramount. It is in these moments that our resolve is tested, for it is easy to succumb to temptations and stray from the path we know is right. Yet, if we truly desire personal growth and success, we must develop the strength to say no to our impulses and redirect our focus towards what truly matters. It is through this ongoing practice of self-denial that we cultivate the foundation of a remarkable character. The choices we make, the actions we take, and the habits we form all contribute to the shaping of our destiny. It is within our power to shape a future of greatness, but that power necessitates the constant exercise of self-control. Whether it is resisting the urge to indulge in unhealthy habits, overcoming distractions that hinder our progress, or prioritizing our goals over fleeting pleasures, our ability to say no to ourselves becomes the guiding force that propels us towards the life we envision. The pursuit of knowledge, too, requires unwavering discipline. We may embark on a journey of learning, filled with countless opportunities for growth and understanding. Yet, as we immerse ourselves in this pursuit, we are inevitably confronted with the allure of instant gratification. The allure of choosing comfort over effort, of prioritizing leisure over intellectual expansion. It is during these critical moments that we must harness the strength within us to decline the distractions and embrace the scholarly path before us, saying no to the unnecessary indulgences and yes to the pursuit of wisdom. Furthermore, it is within the realm of productivity and personal development that self-control finds its utmost relevance. In our modern society, there is a multitude of demands vying for our time and attention. Whether it be the constant influx of work responsibilities, the allure of recreational activities, or the siren call of social media, we are perpetually faced with choices that impact the course of our lives. It is only through the power of saying no that we can carve out a lifestyle aligned with our aspirations. By exerting control over our actions and refusing to yield to the temptations of instant gratification, we create space for progress, growth, and the realization of our potential. Thus, through the art of saying no, we unlock the gateway to self-improvement, personal fulfillment, and lasting success. Chapter 8. Overcoming Challenges and Obstacles. The ability to say no is influenced and affected by a wide range of challenges and obstacles, both internal and external in nature. Dealing with pushback and resistance from others is a frequent occurrence when an individual first embarks on asserting themselves and their decisions. It is not uncommon for others to become accustomed to a pattern of compliance and agreement, thus finding it abrupt and unexpected when one party deviates from this pattern. Consequently, increased pressure and efforts to change the individual's mind may ensue. Other tactics employed may include manipulation, refusal to accept no as an answer, or the use of various methods to repeat a request. All of these examples directly infringe upon an individual's autonomy and decision-making capacity, consequently making it increasingly challenging to say no. A potential approach to confront such situations is to assertively reaffirm one's decision to decline, and then establish firm boundaries regarding the level of pressure that can be tolerated. If necessary, taking action to enforce these boundaries may be required. Sometimes, this may be the only viable option, and it might ultimately become necessary to sever ties with an individual who persists in disrespecting and disregarding the right to say no. Similar challenges arise when confronted with the fear of disappointing or upsetting others. When an individual genuinely cares about the feelings and opinions of another, it can be exceedingly difficult to engage in actions that may be detrimental to that person in the short term. Moreover, rejecting a request can be arduous due to the potential damage it may inflict upon the relationship. This predicament often leads to an individual acting against their own best interests purely out of the desire to avoid upsetting or disappointing others, even when doing so may not be the optimal course of action. The difficulties are magnified when the individual making the request is a friend, loved one, or close associate, making it challenging to strike a balance between the need to say no and minimizing potential harm to the relationship. Dealing with pushback and resistance from others. Picture yourself saying no to your boss who expects you to stay later than usual to finish off paperwork that wasn't done during work hours, or to your friend who desperately requests to borrow money off you. Perhaps it is a family member who needs you to do them a favor, and you just can't fit it into your schedule. In most cases, these people are going to express a certain degree of discontent, disappointment, or frustration at your response, which can often create a sense of guilt for your decision, and may even influence your decision the next time you are faced with a similar request from them. However, it is important to realize that it is your right to say no to others, and people who truly respect and care for you will respect your decision even if they are not happy with it. This is especially true in the case of requests that require significant time, energy, or resources on your part, which are likely to impose the most cost on yourself. So when considering the best interest for yourself, it is better to say no to these requests that are demanding and not in your interests, as opposed to half-heartedly saying yes to please the person asking, only to end up feeling resentful to them afterwards. In addition, learning to effectively say no to more forceful or imposing people can actually serve as an exercise in empowerment and assertiveness. This involving an inner attitude of valuing your own rights and feelings, and being self-responsible for your own needs. An exercise suggested by Manuel Smith is to establish a personal bill of rights for oneself, considering these are the rights you are entitled to when dealing with others, then keeping these rights in the forefront of your mind when making decisions that affect you. By practicing assertiveness and self-expression in dealing with those who disregard our rights, we can actually increase our self-respect, and it is likely these people will come to respect us more too. Overcoming fear of disappointing or upsetting others. Oftentimes, the reason we struggle to decline requests is our fear of disappointing or upsetting someone. A firm refusal can sour relationships and cause social discomfort. Whether turning down a friend's invitation or refusing your supervisor's order, you may feel an underlying pressure to comply. Realize that this pressure may only be perceived, not real. In a study conducted by several researchers, it was found that university students were often convinced that their friends would be more irritated with them for declining an invitation than was actually the case. In addition, these students overestimated the likelihood of their friends complying with similar requests in the future. In other words, they incorrectly assumed that their refusal would have a greater impact on their friends than it truly did. An inflated sense of social responsibility such as this is not only inaccurate, but also unproductive. Keep in mind that a person's rate of compliance with a request and their general fondness for your personality are unlikely to hinge on whether you accept every task asked of you. It would be best to politely decline, while expressing your gratitude for being asked to do this in the first place. Understanding how to decline requests gracefully is an essential skill for effective communication and maintaining healthy boundaries. By expanding our knowledge in this area, we equip ourselves with the tools necessary to navigate various social situations with ease and confidence. Rather than fearing the act of declining, we can approach it as an opportunity for growth and assertiveness. Remember that declining a request does not make you a bad person or a disappointment. It simply means that you have evaluated the situation and determined that it is not the right fit for you at the moment. One important aspect to keep in mind when declining a request is to be honest and transparent in your communication. Providing a genuine and valid reason can help others understand and respect your decision. However, it is crucial to strike a balance between honesty and diplomacy. While it is important to express your needs and priorities, it is equally essential to do so in a tactful and considerate manner. By choosing your words carefully and focusing on the impact of your decision rather than personal judgments, you can maintain the emotional connection with the person making the request while asserting your boundaries. It is also worth noting that saying no does not mean you cannot offer alternatives or provide support in different ways. If you genuinely want to assist the person but cannot commit to their specific request, you can explore alternative options that align with your abilities and availability. By offering suggestions or compromises, you demonstrate your willingness to help within your limitations, showing respect and consideration for both parties involved. Furthermore, remember that declining a request does not mean the end of a relationship or friendship. Healthy connections are built on mutual respect and understanding, and a respectful decline can actually strengthen the bond between individuals. By asserting your boundaries and communicating your limits, you contribute to a relationship based on authenticity and honesty. True friends and colleagues will appreciate your honesty and will respect your decision, understanding that your well-being and personal priorities are important. In conclusion, learning how to decline requests while maintaining healthy relationships is a valuable skill that empowers individuals to protect their time, energy, and personal well-being. By considering the impacts of declining, being honest yet diplomatic in communication, offering alternatives or support, and recognizing that healthy relationships can withstand respectful boundaries, you can confidently navigate the art of declining requests. Remember, it is not selfish or disappointing to prioritize yourself. It is an act of self-care and a step towards building stronger and more authentic connections. Navigating societal pressures and expectations. Society also conditions people to believe that they should be able to do everything, and saying no is a sign of failure. The unrealistic Superman ideal is an internal barrier to saying no. It is important to be realistic and to accept your humanity with its limitations. Everyone has a right to rest and leisure, and taking on too much can lead to stress and illness. By learning to say no to unrealistic demands, you are protecting yourself and your health. Expanding on this, it is crucial to understand that societal expectations place a heavy burden on individuals. The pressure to always be capable, to fulfill every task thrown our way, is deeply ingrained. We are made to believe that saying no equates to weakness or incompetence. However, it is essential to acknowledge our own limitations and embrace our human nature. We must reflect upon the notion that rest and relaxation are fundamental rights that must not be forsaken. Overextending ourselves by saying yes to every request can have detrimental effects on our well-being. Excessive stress and illness can be the consequences of carrying an overwhelming load. By acquiring the skill to decline unrealistic demands, we are actively safeguarding ourselves and nurturing our health. This act of self-preservation allows us to maintain a balance between work and personal life. By drawing healthy boundaries and articulating our limitations, we can prioritize our own well-being and set a strong precedent for others to respect. Remember, it is not a sign of inadequacy to admit that we cannot do it all. In fact, it exhibits self-awareness and wisdom. Grant yourself the permission to say no when necessary, understanding that the pursuit of perfection is both unattainable and detrimental. Place value on your mental and physical health, and let the burden of societal expectations slowly dissipate. Often a person may feel that they are expected by society or by others to agree to a request. To do otherwise may be seen as rude, unkind, or selfish. Learning to be more assertive, to weigh up the pros and cons, and to say no when it is in your best interest is a skill that takes time and effort to develop. By practicing the assertive formula, you can explain your reasons for saying no and avoid giving a yes when you really mean no. People sometimes place pressure on another person to get what they want, bullying or nagging until the person eventually agrees. This can lead to overwhelming feelings of anger, guilt, or resentment, which have the potential to cause significant harm to both parties involved. When you find yourself giving in to this coercion and saying yes, you are essentially relinquishing your power and surrendering to the demands of others, which can have detrimental effects on the dynamics of the relationship as well as your own self-esteem and emotional well-being. It is important to recognize the negative consequences of succumbing to such tactics and to stand up for yourself, assert your boundaries, and communicate your needs effectively in order to preserve your autonomy and maintain healthy relationships. Remember, asserting your own needs and feelings is essential for fostering respect and mutual understanding in any interpersonal interaction. Recognizing and addressing internal barriers to saying no challenges more than just the concern about letting others down and being harsh. For many of us, it touches parts of our fundamental self-image, our deep feelings about our worth, how nice, kind, and unselfish we ought to be, and also our belief about how we ought to be treated by others. We not only don't want to hurt others, but we also defend our right not to harm, or it would be a violation of who we are. This can result in a few cognitive dissonances that then become blocks against saying no. Considering a person who is asked to do a simple favor he doesn't want to do, he may find it difficult to evaluate his reason for saying no because in his own mind, there is no excuse that would make it acceptable for him to refuse. If he is a good and nice person, that is. The only acceptable reason would be that the task is such that he is unable to do it. That way, he is getting off the hook by proving that he is indeed not being subpar nice or capable. This is the scenario to avoid because, first, it will make him feel more entitled every time he gets out of a task he doesn't want to do. Second, he will make an excuse when he refuses that is indeed along the lines of not being capable. Ultimately, it is crucial to recognize and confront the challenging aspects of saying no, understanding that it goes beyond mere external factors, such as people's reactions or judgments. Instead, it delves deep into our core values, our sense of self-worth, and our perception of how others perceive us. By acknowledging and addressing these underlying factors, we can navigate the complexities of saying no with confidence and assertiveness. It's important to realize that saying no does not equate to being selfish or unkind. Rather, it is an act of self-care and self-preservation. Learning to prioritize our own needs and boundaries allows us to maintain a healthy balance in our relationships and prevents feelings of resentment or burnout. Furthermore, by setting clear boundaries and learning to express our needs assertively, we empower ourselves and foster greater respect from others. Saying no is not always easy, but is a valuable skill to cultivate. It enables us to protect our time, energy, and emotional well-being, ensuring that we can show up fully and authentically in our lives. So, the next time you find yourself faced with the dilemma of whether to say yes or no, remember that it is within your right to prioritize your well-being. Embrace the power of saying no, and watch as the quality of your life improves. Chapter 9. Saying No with Confidence and Grace. Developing more self-assurance is absolutely pivotal and fundamentally crucial to being able to confidently say no to certain demanding situations, to enduring the complex mixture of guilt and anger that may inevitably follow, and most importantly, to remaining unwaveringly true to our own decisions. It is an imperative that we internalize the profound realization that we are undeniably important, and that our needs and wants are truly worthy of being met, acknowledged, and fulfilled. Furthermore, it is of paramount importance to recognize that our worth as individuals should never be subjected to negotiation or compromise simply by agreeing to the wishes of someone else. However, our ability to assertively say no becomes impeded when we mistakenly perceive our own needs as being substantially less important or significant compared to the needs of others. Addressing this issue may inevitably require some deep introspection, which may initially involve encountering hard truths and sometimes even painfully uncomfortable realizations about how we genuinely feel about ourselves. Consequently, it becomes essential to confront and challenge our deeply ingrained beliefs concerning our own self-worth, the true nature of the relationships we truly deserve, and ultimately, our inherent right as unique individuals to possess our own personal preferences, to autonomously make our own decisively independent choices, and even embracing the inevitability of making mistakes along the way, all in pursuit of creating the fulfilling lives we wholeheartedly desire and truly deserve. Consequently, embarking on this transformative journey may indeed necessitate making some arduous and daunting changes, but the growth and liberation we ultimately achieve will outweigh any temporary discomfort or uncertainty. People who lack self-worth and fear the loss of a relationship will find it exceedingly difficult to utter a negative response. They frequently harbor the perception that they lack the authority to decline, thereby succumbing to tasks that conflict with their desires, beliefs, or principles. Subsequently, they experience a surge of bitterness, resentment, or anger. It is of paramount importance to differentiate between the significance of preserving amicability within a relationship and prioritizing our own well-being. Over time, the viability of the relationship hinges upon our capacity to firmly decline when appropriate, assert our stance, and uphold our integrity, rather than surrendering our very essence merely to maintain tranquility. Cultivating self-assurance and self-worth. Unilateral decision-making and confronting a potential opponent can be anxiety-provoking for many people. For people from others-focused/collectivist backgrounds, the concern about the impact of the no on the other person and the relationship can lead to a priori decision to not say no. Symbolically saying yes or later complying in a situation you really want to refuse can have negative emotional and interpersonal consequences. The emoter can lead to self-judgment. I'm weak. I can never stick to what I want. Decreased self-worth, and increased anxiety and/or resentment at the other person. Learning to differentiate between the decision, saying no, and the interpersonal behavioral outcome, and that the decision may not harm the relationship as much as previously thought, can help people correctly identify when no is the correct alternative and counteract any emotive self-judgment. It is very easy to fall into the trap of placing short-term mood and the potential loss of one's relationship into higher importance than one's own needs and long-term well-being. Establishing that it's okay to say no to certain things, but saying no is a skill that needs practice. Like learning a musical instrument or sport, mistakes will happen and embarrassment will be experienced to start with. But with perseverance and repeated structured learning techniques, competence and confidence can be achieved. The significance of an unconditional high self-worth in relation to the decision to say no cannot be understated. Self-worth can be generally defined as the value which one places on oneself as a person. People make global self-evaluations based on either specific domains or an overall view of their self. The value of self-worth can be assessing in things positively gained. I am a good person / I do things well. Versus things negatively to be avoided. I'm no good / I can't do anything right. Or comparisons to an ideal self. In relation to the self-discrepancy model, no is a refusal to bridge a gap in a situation that would lead you closer to an undesired actual or ideal self. Therefore, someone who views their self as worthy deserves the best and will be more likely to say no in situations that will have unfavorable outcomes. Expanding one's ability to assert boundaries and make self-care a priority is essential for personal growth and overall well-being. By recognizing the importance of setting limits and voicing dissent, individuals can protect their emotional and mental health while fostering healthy relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Practicing the art of saying no requires patience and persistence, as it is a skill that improves with experience. Through trial and error, one can learn to navigate the complexities that come with asserting oneself, gradually building competence and confidence. Embracing the concept of self-worth plays a crucial role in this process. When individuals recognize their inherent value and prioritize their own needs, they become empowered to make choices that align with their personal growth and happiness. Saying no should not be seen as a negative or selfish act, but rather as an affirmation of one's autonomy and self-care. By embracing this mindset, individuals can overcome the fear of disappointing others and live authentically, true to themselves. Remember, saying no is not a reflection of weakness, but a demonstration of inner strength and self-respect. Embracing the power of assertiveness. It is suggested that assertive training is inherently more beneficial to individuals who are less assertive rather than those who are more assertive. This notion is supported by the fact that many naturally assertive individuals fail to recognize the value of assertiveness simply because it comes effortlessly to them, and they take it for granted. However, the belief that people have the capacity to change is of utmost importance. Assertion is not an innate trait, but a learned behavior that can be identified and effectively altered. Even individuals with highly submissive characteristics have the potential to improve their assertiveness. This is particularly significant for those who constantly feel exploited by others. Any form of behavioral transformation necessitates the belief that change is truly possible. Moreover, individuals with a high degree of self-monitoring should also reap the benefits of assertiveness training. These individuals are acutely attuned to the expressive behaviors of others and may adjust their level of assertiveness based on the perceived assertiveness of the person they are communicating with. While this strategic approach to assertiveness may seem pragmatic, it is less authentic and can consequently lead to feelings of self-discrepancy later on. Any increase in self-discrepancy resulting from behavioral inconsistency typically engenders negative emotions. Thus, it is desirable to cultivate assertiveness that is more internalized and less contingent on external factors. This particular personality trait is highly receptive to skills training and behavior modification techniques, enabling individuals to develop and enhance their assertiveness skills even further. Research suggests that individuals with low self-esteem are more likely to assume that powerful others, such as authoritative figures, possess legitimate authority to make requests. Moreover, they are more inclined to comply with these requests and feel a greater obligation to do so. It is crucial, therefore, to recognize and embrace the tremendous power of assertiveness both in your professional endeavors and within yourself. An assertive individual possesses the ability to effectively influence others. Becoming influential starts with comprehending your own desires and needs and then effectively communicating them. This requires not only standing up for your own rights, but also avoiding both confrontational aggression and submissive non-assertion. Assertive individuals express their rights and opinions without infringing upon the rights of others. They possess a keen understanding of human equality and uphold every individual's inherent right to basic dignity. Furthermore, they communicate their thoughts and ideas in a clear, precise, and situationally relevant manner. Developing refined assertiveness skills holds the potential to greatly enhance the accuracy and interpretation of your complex messages. By confidently expressing yourself in a respectful and assertive manner, you create an atmosphere of open communication and mutual understanding. Such an approach fosters productive interactions and promotes positive outcomes in various aspects of your life. Embracing assertiveness empowers you to navigate through challenges with poise and effectiveness, while maintaining harmonious relationships and mutual respect. Practicing self-compassion and self-acceptance. Self-compassion has three fundamental components. Firstly, it requires the cultivation of self-kindness, in which we are not only gentle with ourselves, but also understanding and forgiving. Instead of adopting a harshly critical and judgmental approach when facing our mistakes and shortcomings, we should seek to comfort and reassure ourselves in the same way we would extend compassion to others. This practice of self-kindness allows us to nurture our own well-being. Secondly, self-compassion entails the recognition and embrace of our common humanity. It involves acknowledging our interconnectedness with others, realizing that we are not alone in our suffering, and understanding that it is a universal part of the human experience. By connecting with others in this way, we can transcend feelings of isolation and alienation, finding solace in the shared challenges and joys of life. Lastly, self-compassion necessitates the presence of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the act of holding our experiences in balanced awareness, without turning a blind eye to our pain or magnifying it beyond proportion. It is about cultivating a non-judgmental and receptive mindset, in which we simply observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without trying to suppress or deny them. At the core of mindfulness lies self-compassion. Through practicing mindfulness, we develop the ability to step back from our emotional experiences, gaining perspective and insight into the what and why of our behaviors. This balanced perspective allows us to approach our pain and challenges with care and compassion. By integrating mindfulness as a practice of self-compassion into our lives, we gain a powerful tool for enhancing emotional intelligence and cultivating the ability to say no when necessary. Through mindfulness, we learn to navigate our emotions with greater awareness, understanding, and kindness, ultimately fostering our own growth and well-being. Self-compassion is an incredibly important and indispensable element in mastering and truly embodying the art of confidently and unapologetically uttering the word no. Individuals who truly prioritize and value self-care are not only adept at being kind and considerate towards themselves, but they also possess a remarkable level of diplomatic finesse. It is their innate ability to approach situations with a gentleness that enables them to refrain from being overly judgmental about their own choices when their affirming yes inadvertently leads to disappointment for others. Furthermore, these self-compassionate souls possess a profound understanding of their own emotions, allowing them to expertly navigate and manage stress and negative sentiments during challenging circumstances. They possess an unshakable mindfulness that centers around recognizing and acknowledging their own needs, subsequently granting themselves the unwavering permission to attend to those needs. However, the true mark of a self-caring individual lies in their astuteness and perceptiveness. They can effortlessly identify situations that possess the potential to emotionally drain them and set them up for failure if they were to yield and say yes instead of embracing their right to say no. It is precisely at this crucial juncture that those who harbor self-compassion rise above the expectations of others and make the audacious decision to assert themselves. Yet, merely uttering the two-letter word no is not where the journey ends for these embodiment of self-compassion. Rather, they embark on an additional process of showering themselves with well-deserved self-soothing and comforting actions, ensuring that they are truly nurtured and supported throughout the entire event, leaving no room for self-doubt or remorse to creep in.
If you found this content enriching and valuable, we would be deeply grateful if you could express your appreciation through liking and subscribing. Your support is incredibly meaningful and enables us to continue creating content that resonates with you. For those who think this is a great gift for yourself or for your loved ones, you can find the link in the description.